Anybody seen my brother Eldon around? He's supposed to meet me here tonight, and looks like he hasn't shown up yet. So I guess I'm holding back. Like we said, my name is Corporal Ray Haskell. I was born September 21st, 1922. Just over the river, an eighth off of John and Edna Haskell. There were 7 of us. 5 boys, 2 girls. Imagine that dinner table. I'm the oldest. My brother Eldon, well, he's 3rd. He's 3 years younger than I am. He was born in January 1925. You know, let me tell you a little bit more about Eldon real quick. Eldon graduated in 1940, like you heard earlier, one of the first classes that come out of Warrensburg. After graduation, he went out to Rome, New York, to the fish hatchery. He and our cousin David, well, they found work out there. That's where they took off. He was engaged to a sweet little girl named Emily Reynolds. We heard that story earlier. And let me tell you, that love was written in the stars. Now, in May of 1943, Eldon went down to Albany and enlisted. Truth be told, there was a little bit of a competitive streak between the 2 of us. And I had enlisted about 4 months earlier. There's no way Eldon was going to let Big Brother have one up on him. Eldon was sent down to Alabama, Fort McClellan, to a base they had recently reclassified as an infantry replacement training center. Now all that meant was he was going to get 9 weeks of basic training instead of the regular 8, and they knew they were heading for the European theater. Now, they did a lot of urban simulated fighting, digging foxholes, with tanks drove around, live fire drills with a real bullet funnel. He was a member of the 179th Infantry, 45th Division. Now the division, they call themselves the Thunderbirds, always forward. The infantry, they call themselves the Tomahawks, in all things prepared. For what it's worth, I guess that makes my brother some sort of flying hatchet or something, I'm not real sure what, but even while he was in Alabama, the war was real close to him down there. In 1943, McClellan had German POWs on base. When they left, they landed in the north coast of Africa after they finished their combat training. And let me tell you, if you're going to spend several weeks doing combat training, beautiful French Morocco, not a bad place to do it. January of 1944, 179 found themselves in Italy. Here on a deal. Eldon's unit went ashore with some of the first landings, and they fought for months to get off those beachheads. The Germans had panzer divisions that put up a relentless defense. Now, March 19th, Eldon was injured, and they sent word back home to our parents. It was nothing serious, but I'll bet your mom was real worried. The end of May, those German panzers had been scattered. And our boys, well, they turned north towards Rome. And you'd figure by now Eldon would be safe. Wasn't the case. Not my brother. Not my brother's hero. You see, my brother's unit came across with a group of Germans that were dug in like a tick. So what's Eldon do? Eldon jumps in the back of a tank, rides it almost to the enemy line, storms the stronghold, lobbing hand grenades the whole way. For that, they give him the Bronze Star. My brother, he died here. I really don't like remembering it that way. So you know what? Let me tell you my favorite memory. Back home, right? Mom used to make fresh bread. Love the way they made the house. Well, Eldon's got this thing for potted meat. He comes through the door one day and he sees that loaf of fresh bread on the table. He grabs a knife. That's a big old chunk of potted meat. And he makes himself a glorious sandwich. And that first bite, he knew something was off. That second bite confirmed it. He turned to Mom and said, "Mom, something wrong with that bread?" Duff said, "No, Eldon, I just made it." Potted meat. I think potted meat's on south. No, Eldon, we don't have any potted meat. That's cat food you're eating. Oh, they laughed so hard, they're still telling that story today from what I hear. Now, as for me, my time in service, just as interesting. See, I did my basic time in Camp Bowie, Texas. Hot down there. I made corporal. Hard work. 749th Tank Battalion. Had 3 strikes of lightning on our patch. Our traps lead to victory. They sent us out to Fort Knox, Kentucky. Some of you may have heard of that base. Where we did tank school. Let me tell you, you got to be a pretty quick study because they only give you 10 weeks to learn every nut and bolt at tin can. After we graduated tank school, they sent us down to Shreveport, Louisiana. We spent 3 months down there doing maneuvers. It's hot down there too. And they sent us right back to Texas. Still hot. We spent a lot of time in Texas. We never thought we'd get into the war. And while we were there, I made grade 5 mechanic. Tech 5. Yes, sir. I can fix anything. Before we knew it, we were stepping off the Queen E on the English soil. We did a lot of maneuvers in England. We did a lot of community service. Heck, we even helped one farmer bring in a potato crop. We ate well that day. I have a lot of good memories from England. We had furloughs to London, trips to St. Anne, Minehead. Wasn't too bad. In April of 1944, they sent us down to the tent city they had in Parma. We had to walk through all the tanks. Did a few dry runs for this Fabius operation. It was good practice too, because the south coast of England, it's a lot like the north coast of France. And we were headed for a place called Normandy. Now, June 29th, we made land at a beachhead they called Easy Bread. There wasn't any there. It's easy was. It was red. You see, to get off these beachheads, we had to fight our way up through these hedgerows. And they were 10 feet tall if they were an inch. The only way to get through them was an explosive. As soon as you set the charge, Jerry knew right where you were, and they took out a lot of us, like ducks in a shooting gallery. It was a thing out of a nightmare. You had tanks overturned, you had ships in the channel floundering in the bodies. Well, being we have ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to upset anyone, let's just say those images never left my head. But I made it through. I'm not sure how, but I did. July 13th, well, on the 13th, we put together a mixed battalion, and we escorted the 1st Infantry back to the beachhead near Salina. Now, by now, we had these great metal teeth on the front of the tanks. We made short work of those head rows, cleaned through. You look in the history books, for about 2 weeks after the 14th of July, you're not going to see much there. You're going to see, there were some small skirmishes, some exchanges of artillery, some recon maneuvers. But they don't think an awful lot happened. I beg to differ. You see, because on the 16th of July, 1944, my service ended. I'm a little foggy on the day. I'm not exactly sure how, but it did. You know, I don't want you to feel sad for me, because now I get to spend all my time with my brother. And over the years, several family members have joined us. And it's through their memories and the stories that they've told. We're not forgotten. You know, I hear my brother Eldon even got himself a namesake. So a pharmacist, I think. I think you're mad for So, our corporeal lives, yeah, they may have been cut short. But our lives here and here, we go on forever. Well, folks, it's about that time I take my leave of you all. I gotta go find that brother of mine. He's probably out eating a pot of meat sandwich somewhere. Nice meeting you.